Hey there! Today we'll have a look at another pen from Italix, the brand Italix, solely available through mrpen.co.uk. And Mr. Pen himself, that is Mr. Ford, sent me this pen to review. And this is, I think, is an interesting one because people have commented that a number of the Italix pens are made in the Far East. It's not a secret either, it's I think on the Mr. Pen website. But this one is made entirely in the UK. And for some people it's you know, a big thing to purchase stuff that is made in Europe or within the US or something like that. So I think this is a very interesting movement. Not that there's anything wrong with pens made in the Far East, but it's an interesting development. The pen comes in the standard little white sleeve. It does indeed say made in England. And then you have the little instruction sheet. Nice, simple, clean instructions, nothing fancy, just everything you need to know about filling, etc. Then you have the box. This is a simple box, gift box, nothing fancy, but it will definitely get the job done. There is a cartridge included, and this is the type of pen that takes both cartridges and converters. And I think it's an interesting model. And here we have it. I'm going to discuss the parts of the pen, tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do a writing sample. Okay, these come in a couple of finishes. There is a red one, I recall, and this is called the Blue Pearl. It's a very deep and intense blue, I would say. Nice marbling. I'll show you that in close-up in a second. But one thing you will notice is the tapered design there. And that's an interesting feature that I'll come back to in a second. Now let's cover the parts of the pen. Right here at the top you have this finial. It's just a reflective bit of material. Then you have the clip, nice clip. The ball makes it easy to slip that clip into your pocket or something. It's quite stiff, but it's definitely usable. It is not nearly as stiff as the Parsons Essential, for example. So as you can see, you can just you can use it pretty well. All right, you have a nice center band there. The center band does not have a brand name on it or anything, but what you can see, I really don't think the camera will pick that up very well, is that there are very light bands, rings around it. And I have the feeling that's because this is hand polished or hand turned material, but I could be off, I'm not a pen maker. A little sticker that says Italix, and then you have this tapered barrel, and what you do see very well here is that nice marbling effect. The cap, the pen opens up by unscrewing it. In a previous pen model I did mention that the section accidentally unscrews when you open up the pen. That was I forgot which model that was, but in any case it just happened here, and honestly that was the first time this happened, so I hadn't seen that before. We have a section. The section is small, very tapered, and with some pretty steep threads there, but those threads are not sharp, so when you hold them I haven't had any issues with it. An interesting thing about this pen is that it comes in a very wide range of nib options. And then there's some of them are both tipped and untipped. You can get Italix, you can get obliques. That's very nice because a lot of companies have ceased to produce those types of specialty nibs. So I think this is very interesting. This is one of the untipped ones. This is an Italic broad, and as you can see, no tipping. Which, I mean, the tipping makes sure that the nib doesn't wear out as quickly, but honestly I've used a lot of these untipped nibs and they really last a very, very long time. I've not even used up a single one of those. And this is an interesting one. This is a 1.4mm Italic. Usually well, I'm used to seeing either 1.1 or 1.3, so 1.4 is an interesting measure, and of course the difference between 1.4 and 1.3 millimeters is marginal. But it's an interesting size, and as you can see the pen comes with a converter and it can be converter filled. Now this is not a huge pen, it's by no means huge. I can use it unposted, but the nice thing is of course this odd shape of the barrel combined with an internal spring in the cap makes sure that the cap fits on there very securely and makes for a very nice and I would say pretty well balanced writing pen. Some people like posting their pens, others do not, but I think in this pen it really adds something. It gets a little bit top heavy because of the cap, but in all I think it's a pretty balanced pen. And one thing I forgot to mention, because it's very, very subtle, but right here it has in engraving the name of the pen. You can probably maybe not read it, I think, but you can maybe see it in the light, and it just says Italix English Curate. Okay, so there you have the basic rundown of the parts of the pen. Now, what do I like about it, what do I not like about it? I think the pen has some strong points. I think this posting mechanism is definitely very cool. It's nice, it's a smaller size pen, but a very comfortable pen to use because of that posting mechanism, and the posting is also very secure, as you can see here. So that's definitely a nice feature. I also like just the standard cartridge converter filled pens. Yes, there are all kinds of nice fancy filling systems. This is a simple system, it works very well, and that's all that really matters. I like the fact that these threads are not sharp at all and are very comfortable to hold. So you really will not feel them digging into your skin, which is a very good thing, I would say. There are some things I don't like so much. One final thing I want to mention is I really like the looks of the pen. I really like the... I don't know if this is my particular version, but as you can see the blue lines up very well here, the marbling, which makes it a very nicely balanced pen, I would say. Things I don't like so much. These trims, I think works well, blue and silver colored. I think that typically works well. The section is definitely an interesting shape. I don't think I've seen this a lot before. It should be stressed that this is not a kit pen, so this is not something that someone puts together. With all due respect to kit pens, but you buy a section, you buy parts, and you turn an acrylic blank into something you put on the pen. You put it together yourself like that. These are all custom-made parts for this particular pen. However, a thin metal section often reminds us of a kit pen, and this pen does give me that feeling a little bit. Now, the most important thing to me is that it's a comfortable pen to use with a very comfortable nib. It wrote well straight out of the box. The 1.4mm nib gives nice line variation, and that's why I picked the nib, Italic broad. So all of that works well. And I think it's a very nice package. Now, this is not one of the cheaper Italix pens. It currently goes for £79.99 on the website, mrpen.co.uk. And you can convert that to whatever currency you use. That's not cheap. For a steel-nibbed pen, that's not cheap, but bear in mind, it is all put together in the UK. It is made by craftsmen there. And I think they do a pretty good job, a pretty skillful job in putting this together. So there you have it. I would say this is a nice everyday writer. It's very suitable for people who enjoy using their pens on a daily basis, who do not necessarily want to have a super expensive pen, but want to have a pen that looks nice, that works well, does what it's supposed to do. And that's what this is. So, there you have it. Mr. Ford, thanks a lot for sending me one. Of course, I would very much like to pass this kindness forward. So, I was just getting a cryptic message from the side, but I know what I'm about to say. If you want to win this pen, leave a comment. Leave a comment on the video. And this brings me to the next point. I'm not going to give measurements right now. I got quite some feedback from people saying that they found the measurements disruptive to the video, too long, too short, etc. From now on, measurements are going to be on the website. If you want to see that, go there, sbrebrown.com, find the post that belongs with this pen. You will not only see high-resolution pictures, which are added for every pen I review, both of the pen and of the writing sample, but you'll also get the measurements. Alright? There you have it. Leave a comment, either on the website or on YouTube. It doesn't really matter. They'll all be added. And 72 hours after this goes online, you can win this pen. And there we have it. So, on to the writing sample. Hope this was useful so far. Glad to see you later. Bye-bye. Alright, here we go with the Italix. English Curate. And on purpose I started like this. As you can see, it had some issues starting up, but this pen has literally not been used in, well, I think 3 or 4 weeks, and it just takes over and starts to work perfectly fine afterwards. So that's really nice. Now let's do a bit of writing. This is a as I said, a broad italic, very smooth. Let's do it a bit faster. And as you can see, the nib and feed keep up very well. Sorry about this distracting bit, by the way, my notebook is almost full, so, okay, wetness. I have not primed the feed. As you can see, it picks up very, very quickly and just works. Line variation, well, because this is a 1.4mm italic, you can see there's quite some natural line variation, but you can squeeze out a little bit. But as I said, it already has some natural line variation, so I wouldn't really push this too far. Okay, well, some reverse writing. It is an italic nib, so it will be broad no matter what. As you can see, it doesn't really keep up too well with this reverse writing style. There you have it. The English Curate. I thank Mr. Ford for kindly sending me this pen, and I hope that was useful.